Yeah, it's
I
Beanie
have
Babies without the Beanie Babies.
it's Beanie Babies without the Beanie Babies. I have a special caller today, um, who is the father of my niece whose birthday is tomorrow. So Brad Delaney, him from Missouri. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you got for us?
Phil, actually, we haven't met yet, but it's nice meeting you virtually. So thank you.
Piacere. Pleasure to meet you.
It's all yours. Go for it.
Yep.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for actually having this topic because as Matt may know, what you guys can do, you can Google my name. I've actually been in the financial environment for a long time, doing a lot of work. And part of my work is in cybersecurity and fraud and touching on certain aspects of crypto along the way. And Phil and Matt are right in many different ways. And I wrote some stuff down just that I don't want to rehash a lot of the conversations. But what I wanted to call in and kind of address to Phil as well as a supporting type of evidence without evidence, if you will, and an observation in the financial aspect is that you have all these social media influencers that are using certain aspects of LinkedIn, a lot of the other business networks, and they're basically putting out false information by showing spreadsheets and all kinds of interesting diagrams and line charts and so forth, saying this is how much money I've made. And then if it doesn't go their way and they lose money in the Bitcoin, they actually follow that back up saying, hey, I just earned $20,000. I just made another $50,000. And by them doing that, they are actually providing a mechanism. And it's very much to the point I believe it to be a Ponzi scheme in many ways, is saying, hey, let's bring in the people by providing the hope of having more money. It's much like the lottery, whenever you're playing the lottery and saying, hey, your Powerball's at like $500 million, you just pay $2 and now you have a chance to earn more money. The same thing happens in NFT. They say, okay, if you buy this NFT, say if it's an image of Trump or if it's in the art world, I think there was a news story about a child that actually put out some of their own art in NFT and made a shit ton of money in a very short period of time, but their art is no more than child's art that I would actually find on my kid's refrigerator. So my point is, when you have people that are millionaires that have actually are providing information to the public purposely in a false way, it does provide, Matt, to your point, where it is proselytizing them or evangelizing them into the world of what they want to do because they're trying to raise their own market value. And in my experience in the fraud and cybersecurity environment, an enormous amount of fraud that's happening in the dark web that is actually used, and they're selling Bitcoin and they're selling all kinds of other things in order to provide services and or false information. And they're making millions of dollars, but there's no proof of that millions of dollars of the transactions that are actually being
And it's like
the transactions that are happening.
You could make the analogy of a casino. Do some people walk out of the casino and have made millions? Of course they have. And they're the ones that get on the billboards. They're the ones that get all the press. By the way, Brad, since you kind of dipped your toe into it, I just want to make sure all the people who are watching and listening know I am an investment advisor representative in the state of Florida, and my company, Polaris Financial Planning, is a registered investment advisor, registered with the U.S. government, SEC. And whenever I tell you those things, I have to tell you that doesn't mean a fucking thing, but I'm supposed to tell you. So for Polaris to register with the SEC, it means I filled out a bunch of forms correctly, and that they don't put any stamp of approval or authentication that I know anything. But I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, it is truly a fantastic thing, because who controls the narrative? Who controls the money? And as long as you try so desperately to have a decentralized thing that is centralized, but in the shadows, I think that's worse than our horrifically bad banking system or our real estate system in this country, because some people will take advantage of other people, and now they can do it behind a curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, and it's not out in public. Because quite honestly, maybe this would be the reason to actually declare that crypto coins are a security, like stocks and bonds, is that if you were to go on TV and promote a specific stock in a company and you own shares and either you intended or accidentally talk people into buying the stock that you already own so that the price would go up, and then you decide to sell it, there's a very specific name to that, Brad. You probably already know it. It's pump and dump. And it's very illegal. But that's what cryptocurrency does because it's not regulated. They don't want to be regulated unless you've already made millions or have billions of dollars at stake. And those are the people who are crying, no, let's make this regulated. Let's make this legitimate because I've won the crypto lottery and I don't want it to go poof because I have so much that Elon hasn't helped his case by selling so many shares of Tesla. He's changed the supply and demand curve. The supply keeps growing and the demand isn't, so the price will fall. I don't know, but I hear you. And with crypto, the exchanges, first of all, you've just got blatant fraud like FTX. Then you have exchanges that work and they get robbed allegedly. Now, is it an outside robbery or is it espionage or embezzlement from the inside? Well, I don't know because it's secret. And then one of the new things this year is theft of cryptocurrency on bridges. They didn't think to harden the transactions that go from one crypto exchange to another one. So people steal the crypto in transit. They can steal from your computer. They can steal from your hard drive. Then you can do a cold wallet where you have your own hard drive or thumb drive that's not connected 99% of the time, unless you want to make a transaction. But if you get a virus or a bit of code on there, or they were a big trick for a while was sending people free NFTs. And when they clicked on the NFT, or if they made the mistake of clicking on the free NFT that came to them in the email, the NFT actually packs a little bit of computer code. And so it becomes a Trojan horse that hacks into your wallet, held on your personal hard. You can do a cold wallet where you have your own hard drive or thumb drive that's not connected 99% of the time, unless you want to make a transaction. But if you get a virus or a bit of code on there, or they were a big trick for a while was sending people free NFTs. And when they clicked on the NFT, or if they made the mistake of clicking on the free NFT that came to them in the email, the NFT actually packs a little bit of computer code. And so it becomes a Trojan horse that hacks into your wallet, held on your personal hard drive, and you get robbed by something that was sent to you for free. And unlike a bank, I mean, if I have money in a bank and that bank gets robbed, I'm covered. If I have coins in FTX and it
Don't just click on anything.
goes poof, there's
Or don't just accept any contract without reading.
nothing. There's nothing to cover.
Exactly.
Go ahead,
exactly.
Brad.
And so, Phil, one of the things I want to actually, obviously is from an educational perspective, because I'm not really challenging anything that the two of you guys are talking about. But one of the things that I have seen in my experience in the financial sector as well, especially over the last 5 or 6 years, is the financial organizations themselves, whether it's an issuing bank, whether it's acquiring bank that actually deals with the merchants. You have PayFac, ISOs, and all kinds of gateways out there. And I know I'm using a lot of financial terms. However, the arena itself now is changing because they were late to the game on crypto, because they poo-pooed it. They actually said it's all fake, it's all false. But then social media started influencing the point where these organizations, issue acquirers, networks, and so forth, whether it's MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover, and so forth, they were trying to monetize and get into this space as much as possible. And then with that, they're trying to bring in the regulations and so forth, and getting it more regulated and getting it more secure and safety. Now, Phil, I think at one point you brought up a point earlier in the conversation that around safety and security, about this is not a safe and secure environment, and it's really not. If anything, this is showing that people that are in this space that are not an influencer, or that don't have a huge amount invested in this space, those guys are the ones that are actually just enjoying the play. Because in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, not an educated aspect, it's just what I've seen, is that the more money that you have and you can play in this space, the more of an influencer you can be. And that's what I've seen with Elon Musk. That's what I've seen with
Whales.
past acquaintances of mine in this space. And I've dealt with a lot of very rich people in my career. And they're all jumping on that crypto bandwagon for the short period of time. But I know a lot of them that are dumping it as quick as they joined it. So it's very volatile.
There is definitely a case where a large number of people all around the world, but I know specifically in the United States, people that have been banned by the SEC or some other agency of the government for theft, conspiracy, stealing, embezzlement, whatever. They take what they've learned in those arenas that were regulated and they went to jail or got fined, and they go over to crypto where there's no sheriff. And so it's kind of whatever you can get away with. And it's funny because one of the things about the theoretical $800 billion of cryptocurrency is that includes every coin that's ever been lost. It includes every coin that's been captured by a government. It includes every coin that, someone threw away an old computer and had 5 coins on it. It includes every cryptocurrency available that had one transaction, and they take that price times the quantity of coins that were theoretically available. All of that is in the 800 billion. And so my position is that crypto is not anywhere near close to 800 billion at all. And it's just going to be a slow, gradual process over the years of people finding out that what they thought they had is completely worthless. It won't just go poof one day like I thought originally. It will just be the slow burn of just money disappearing from one person after another. And there will be people that get rich, but there's going to be a lot of people that lose a large amount of money, and they're not going to have any recourse to go back and get it.
We have
absolutely. And versus me taking over Matt's show, by the way, because I really don't want to take over my brother's show because I love him. And I appreciate the fact that, Matt, you allowed me to call in. I do want to basically just add the caveat saying that for those people that are listening and those people that are actually interested or think that they're interested in this space, I would just say caution what you're doing, guys. Just make sure you do your research. Make sure that you can have the disposable income in order to do it.
Do your own research. Don't use money you can't afford.
If you're going to drop, $500 on X, Y, and Z or whatever you want to do, just make sure you have disposable income, because you are not going to get rich quick on this scenario. And I think Phil said it best earlier, is that trying to get in and actually either buy or actually mine the actual Bitcoin, it's very challenging. It is not something that people can easily do.
Excellent.
Well, on that note, I know what you need to do.
Call in more often?
No, you need to hang up on me. You need to do a no, you're done, and hang up on me.
Okay, so I'm going to do one better, because whoever the moderators for the line is told me I had to cuss. So I'm going to say, fuck off, Matt. I'm done. Goodbye.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's absolutely
That's
awesome.
good stuff.
This is easier than I thought it was going to be, Matt. I'm sure there's some people that disagree, but.
And don't just buy a crypto for the sake of having a crypto.
You're just filtering them out, right?
There's other calls here, but Aldo's been waiting for a long time and actually came into my Twitch stream earlier, I think, if this is the same person.
Yes,
so Aldo from Mexico, pronouns are he, him, has something about some sort of hypothesis about God's existence. So welcome, sir.
Hey, hola, ¿cómo están? How you doing, Matt and Phil Ferguson?
Muy bien, sí, Phil, muy bien.
Excelente. Oh, well, I will speak with my regular voice, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have my American accent and my Mexican accent, so okay. Hablo. Okay, so here's I go to the point, okay? What is your position or opinion to the hypothesis that God exists because the idea or concept of God exists, as this idea or concept makes people do things or act certain ways?
That's like saying that Harry Potter exists because the concept exists and people do things on behalf of Harry Potter. It's nonsense. That doesn't mean Harry Potter exists.
Okay, good. Okay, excellent. do you want to say something else about it, or just that?
No. No.
Yeah, I think
Excellent. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
That's
you
it.
bet.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Why? Because this is um, by being a non-believer, and it's thank you, and you put agnostic color. Well, I'm not an agnostic color. I am a gnostic color. It's the biggest problem of this is when you tell your ideas to other people, the other people have their own ideas, and they confuse truth with their own opinions. So I don't know. This happens to kids. Don't you? I don't know if you have this. You know, there's this kid that is a badass at karate in his school, and then he goes to the nationals and he gets his ass kicked, and
Yeah.
they cannot what you may call it they cannot accept that they lost. Oh, thank you. They changed it to Gnostic color. Excellent. And you see, and that's what why does every person that comes representing their God, they're always very aggressive, and why they always, if you don't give them their way, they want to tear you apart. It's just it's I don't know.
I'm more
It's
confused.
a
I'm more confused now that you've identified yourself as Gnostic. Gnostic about
Yeah.
what? God?
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you for putting that out. Okay, the thing is that I know it's okay. Yeah, okay, now I'm gonna. Okay, now it's coming the American accent. Okay, so oh, um, it's been very hard for me, a lot, very hard, by not being a believer. For example, my first encounter with what you may call it with atheism was. Do you remember the Twilight Zone episode about the guy that took souls to hell? This dude, there
no.
was this character that he was taking he was being taken to hell, and he was an atheist, and he made his case. You know, I'm a very good person. I'm a loving father. I pay my taxes. I do all this, and I respect others. And just because that God is taking me to hell, man, what the fuck? And this is I was like 10 or like 12, dude, and I was like, yeah, really, isn't that the whole purpose? Just to be a good person, a good citizen, pay your taxes, be a good neighbor, and all that shit.
I'm confused. I was asking you identify as Gnostic, and I asked what Gnostic about what? About God? What is it that you know?
Oh yeah, the bullshit,
So you're
all the
claiming to
bullshit.
know. You're claiming to know that there is no God.
Yes, but I wanted to listen to you, your answer.
How can you demonstrate? You see, it seems to me you're claiming that you falsified something, and to a high enough degree to count as knowledge, that is ultimately unfalsifiable.
Yeah,
So
that's what the church does.
no,
See?
maybe
No,
maybe
Yeah,
we're
it,
missing
it
something.
confuses you. You
If
see
you
what
say
happens?
no,
It
no,
confuses
stop,
you.
Aldo, stop. I'm saying,
Yes, I
how
stop.
can you know that there is no God? I don't know that. I'm not aware of anybody who does know it. You seem to be in a position where you're claiming to know something, and I don't know how you know it.
Yeah, I know. You just, I will answer this. When I was here, I didn't know that black people were at some point were slaves, and it broke my heart. God
What the hell
allowed
does
that.
that have to? What does that have to do with knowing there is no God?
No, it's good because then you can go on and you can do
I'm
whatever
afraid.
you need to
I'm
do.
afraid there's. I'm afraid there's a language problem here where you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Hmm.
You claim to be Gnostic, and you claim to be a
Yes.
Gnostic atheist. So you're claiming to know that there is no God, and I'm asking you, how can you possibly know that?
Oh, okay. Okay. Why did I become first? Why did I become an atheist at one point in my life? Right.
No,
It's
that's not what
because
I'm asking.
okay.
I'm an
Okay, how
atheist.
can?
I'm an atheist. I do not know that no
Okay.
God, that there is no God. I just don't believe there's a God. You're
Oh,
claiming
I
to
understand
know.
that there
You're
is no
claiming to
God. No, the
know. You're
uncertainty. I
claiming
know
to
the
know that
uncertainty
there
of it.
is no God. How do you know that there is no God?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, here we go. How do I know that
I think it's
that
language,
there
Matt,
is no God?
and,
Okay,
and
okay.
Aldo's a
It's
white
it's
guy.
my in my own experience. In my own experience, I've asked God and never returned my calls.
Doesn't matter.
I
Doesn't
None
matter.
of us
I talked to the
It
representatives
doesn't matter.
and they never.
Everything you're saying now is a logical fallacy, Aldo. The fact that you
That God is
asked
you.
God
You
and God didn't
maybe
reply to
maybe
you
you.
doesn't stop talking.
Yeah, I
The
will stop
fact
talking.
here, I'll help you. Now you can talk all you want because you're muted. What I'm trying to say is, if when I ask you, how do you know that there is no God? You started with basically, I kept asking God and I got no reply. But that's like if you called me on the phone and I don't answer, that doesn't prove that I don't exist. I'm wondering, how did you prove that God does not exist?
Holy shit, that's a good one. Okay.
Well, all right, then I'm going to let you go and you think about it because you're the one that's
Thank you.
identifying as Gnostic. And if you haven't
Muchas
thought about it
gracias.
enough, call back in another time when you've thought about it enough.
Buenas noches, Aldo.
People don't answer the
All right.
question.
We have a couple more calls. I don't know how they're going to go or whatever else, but I think maybe we can
Sure, try it.
get through some of them pretty quickly. We have Michael in California.
Oh,
Pronouns are he,
quick.
him. Has some statement about my thoughts on money being fiction or whatever. Hey, Michael, how can I help?
Hey man, how you doing? Long time listener
Hello.
to y'all.
Great.
I guess my question to kind of like, I guess hone in on it was, have you ever read the book *Sapiens*?
I know about the book. I haven't read it.
Oh, cause like, so a lot of the things that
Oh,
like
actually,
you
you know
said
what?
earlier, Matt.
I did read that book. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like, one of the things he talks about how like humans have been like super successful, like through our evolutionary history, has been like due to us like creating fiction, like creating things that don't really exist, but then they have utility. So like, and one of those things that he talked about besides religion was like money. And I kind of wanted your thoughts about that as well. How like not everyone believes in God, but everyone believes in money. You know, like, and it's
I'm not sure that's
money
allowed
either.
like.
Money is essentially, it's not that money is true. It's that the value of it is because we imbue it with that. And so
Yeah.
I have something, whether it's this cell phone. Sure, I have this cell phone. It has some value to me. If I want to sell it to somebody else, or if I want to trade it to somebody else, they would have to give me something of equal or greater value in order for me to give this up. And that's the way you get to the barter system of I'll give you 25,000 fresh eggs for this cell phone. And now this cell phone is worth 25,000 fresh eggs. But that's clumsy because you can't carry around a cell phone and eggs and you know all this other stuff. So we create a money system that serves as a substitute. It could be as simple as an IOU. I owe you 25,000 eggs, but we standardize it. And so we've standardized it by creating essentially a fiat money system.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't see that. But anyway, we create a fiat money system and we are, but now I can't think and I've lost track of what the fuck I was talking about. In any case, that's what I think, I suppose, Michael, is that yes, it's more like a metaphor in that it has value because we say it has value, but that doesn't mean it's not real. The value we're creating is real.
Yeah, and that's where I guess some things that you said earlier kind of reminded me of that, because when you're saying how like I agree with you. Like every single time someone talks to me about crypto, it's like, well, you have to believe in this one. You got to believe in this one. You got to believe in this one. And the more people believe in it, the more value it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I kind of like, and then and then you know, obviously like if you look at like money today, right? Like we have a understanding that our money obviously have like economic systems and things like that, but like when people are kids or anybody, because I'm a teacher, so like when they ask like, oh yeah, like you ask those questions like, what is this piece of paper actually like, why is it valuable? Like they're very curious about that, and it makes you wonder as well, like how can I best explain this to a young person? It's because we believe it has value, and then we have many times in history where those pieces of money don't, or they lose their value.
It's a placeholder
So
for
it's
something that does have value. The difference between this and
mhm,
like a God thing is that that's nobody's thinks that God, nobody recognizes if they're a believer in a God. They don't think it's a placeholder for something. Maybe
mhm.
there are people who have like metaphorical God, where God is the metaphor for the human spirit or our perceived interconnectedness. But money is a placeholder for something that is real. It is
Mhm.
a shortcut, just in the same way that, hey, if I give you an IOU, that IOU, I mean, it's a piece of paper with ink on it, but its value is that it's a specific piece of paper that you can then give back to me to get whatever it is that I owe you.
So then, is that essentially what crypto is trying to be? It's trying to be another placeholder, like in terms of it's representative of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
I think that's fair to
just
say.
as
And
dollars.
it's funny because one of the funny things why I've taken the position that Bitcoin could be considered a currency, a really, really shitty currency, as we've seen within the last 12 months, when inflation in the United States goes from the traditional 1 to 2 to 3% up to 7, 8, 9%, people flip the fuck out. But it makes a currency very, very bad to use if its price fluctuates a lot. And Bitcoin fluctuates a lot. And so if I want to buy a pizza with Bitcoin, I don't want to buy a pizza with Bitcoin because I'm an investor in Bitcoin and it's going to go up in value. I'd be an idiot to buy pizza with Bitcoin. So it's not a very good thing to use. The person that is selling the pizza doesn't really want to accept Bitcoin because it could go down even more. And so the money they thought they were going to get from
Use
selling the pizza to you in
stablecoins.
Bitcoin is not realized, and they could make or lose more money on the currency transaction than on any margin that they're making on the pizza. And so they're no longer really in the pizza business. They're in the cryptocurrency business because it's all about timing and when do I buy and sell cryptocurrencies. And so when a currency has a high volatility, it becomes less and less useful. So when Bitcoin goes from 64,000 to 16,000 in a year, any argument that it's a useful currency, I think, is misguided. You can stretch the definitions and say it's still a currency, but it's a shitty currency. You can't count on it. You can't rely on it. And so that's one of the things that was talked about. It's going to be a better currency than the US dollar. It's not. And then people say it's going to be an investment, but it's not. I often will hear someone say, putting money into crypto is like putting money into the stock market. It could go up, it could go down. It's all a gamble. When someone says something like that to me, what I hear is, I don't know anything about cryptocurrency and I don't know anything about the stock market. Okay, cool. Because we buy stocks as investment because they're representations of a piece of that company that has things that it outputs that are of greater value than it inputs. And it creates value, it creates wealth. Now, you could argue that some companies don't do that and they're fraudulent. Of course they are. But we do have a system to audit them. There are rules they have to follow. There's taxes and there's documents they have to file. And if they lie about those, people can go to jail. Well, cryptocurrency doesn't have
Mhm.
any of that. It doesn't make anything. It doesn't create value. It doesn't produce value. And like I said, probably an hour and a half ago, there is absolutely no increase in utility of Bitcoin if the price goes from 16,000 to 64,000. It's still just as useful or still just as unuseful. The price is irrelevant to its functionality. But I don't know. But Michael,
We
thank you.
we gotta move on, Michael. I hope that helped.
Utility.
Thank you.
It was useful. Thanks. And today's final caller, who's been waiting for a good half an hour, is Will in Austin. Hey, Will.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Phil. Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Sure.
I wanted to first apologize for saying it sounds like Phil doesn't know what an NFT is in the chat, and then deleting my message a few moments later. If you happen to see it, I
It's all
sincerely
good.
apologize.
It's tricky.
Whatever.
I'm not sure I
I'd
do
like
understand
to-
it, but go ahead.
So the title or the text that I put in was something similar to, I think it's a mistake to lump all NFTs, what an NFT can be, into just, you can take a screenshot of this, because we know, for example, that apps and games and in-game currency and skins and things like that are all kinds of things that can be represented as an NFT. And once they are, they can be traded with other people within a marketplace and not lose all of their value right out of the gate. And so that was one part that I wanted to point out, that it's not just JPEGs, they're not just images. And then, of course, I was really thankful to hear all of the issues that you saw with these coins earlier and the systems, because you're absolutely right. We know that Bitcoin is a huge energy hog, but we also know that the second most common currency that you mentioned earlier, Ethereum, which apparently is a kind of technology where you can build on it in layers, and some companies have built what they call layer 2 technology that combines a bunch of transactions into a group. So that's being done on layer 2 to reduce the number of transactions that go through. And then on layer 1, Ethereum, to my understanding, recently completed a 99% energy reduction. And so I look at those things and I think those are a couple of the major misunderstandings that seem to be out there with just grouping and losing this nuance of an NFT is really supposed to be a proof of purchase rather than just a link to an image or whatever.
These skins are NFTs on the Solana blockchain. So another blockchain, a different game. So your skins, you play and you get the skins for free. You have to mint it yourself though, but then you've got the card for yourself and you can trade it. As well as some weapons. So not all crypto is scammy. It does have functionality. These are NFTs on the Polygon blockchain. I have games on a bunch, as I have been doing my research and trying to figure them out and learn more.
Fair
Thanks
enough.
for taking my call, by the way.
Thanks, Will.
Sure. Thanks. All right.
It was funny. He brought up Ethereum. Ethereum went from proof of work, which is one of the foundational things behind Bitcoin. That's why you have to do all that work. That's why you have to spend all the energy, because that theoretically makes anyone available to do it if they just do the work. Ethereum went from proof of work to ownership stake, which, if you're a Bitcoin purist, you would now have to loathe Ethereum, I think, because it's the exact opposite of what you were trying to promote. So you don't have to do the work anymore to get it. You just have to be in the right place.
It's
right
proof
time
of
with the
stake
contract, but
and not completely there yet.
I'm just babbling now. That's enough.
Well,
Huh?
you don't have to babble. You could Tower of Babel. And
Oh my goodness. I just worry about the average investor when someone says to me something like, I only invest money I can afford to lose. Now, when an individual person says that, I have no idea how much money they have or don't have, but I'm doing okay. And I still cannot wrap my head around the idea of having money that I can afford to lose. What the fuck is that? I could spend money on a show, or you could spend money on snakes. You can spend money on drugs and enjoy that. But just money that I can afford to lose, money that I can just light on fire if it doesn't go my way. Nope, I don't get it.
I wouldn't say money you can't afford to lose, but if you're going to pay for a game that you'll never be able to sell the items that you do collect in the game, I would rather put it into an NFT game that I enjoy. And then if I do get tired of it, I can sell it off.
Yeah,
That's
it's.
me.
I mean, you can spend on anything. You're right. You can, in fact, spend on anything.
And there are free-to-play NFT games. Decentraland is a metaverse with a variety of different activities. And you can do tasks to earn NFTs that you can then sell on the market without having invested in anything.
I keep coming back to this because I really wanted to, is crypto a religion? No, it's not a religion. But it could be. And you could certainly build a religion around it. And
Yes.
we spend a lot of time doing things to promote the things we care about. You and I do it. Everybody I know does it. We have an investment into the things that we care most about, irrespective of what their value is to somebody else. And we are constantly trying to get other people to recognize this and hopefully build connections where they value what we value. Because if you value me and I value you, and we together value LGBT rights, or we together value Magic the Gathering cards, or we together value Ethereum, then now it seems more real than it did when it was just me that was valuing it. And I see this all the time. There's this judgmental thing of, oh, your kink's not my kink, or your hobby's not my hobby, but it's valid and all that. There are aspects of this that I know lead people to conclude, oh, well, this is a religion, or this is like a religion, and you're not wrong that it is like a religion, and so is football. So is the World Cup. I don't give a shit about the World Cup. Congratulations to Argentina. I wouldn't even have known what happened if it weren't for the fact that Johnny was visiting me and sat on the couch and said, here's what happened at the end of World Cup stuff, because I just don't care. We have built a world where we have a mix of things that are tangible, and because we value them, we want to do the intangible and give that value. And that's where I think some people come to this notion that crypto or NFT or any of those things are religions. I don't think they count as religions in my head, but I don't think it would take a lot of effort to make them religion-like. I think that when we look back at how different religions formed, every single one of them was, like everything else in our life, about someone valuing something and getting someone else to value it too. I don't know. That's how the world works. What's my house worth? What's your house worth? What's this worth? This is how we measure things. It's how we connect with each other. And we do it not just always with what's the dollar value of this, but hey, what do you do for a living? Because that determines how valuable you are to me. What degrees do you have? That determines how valuable you are to somebody else. I had somebody come on and basically was like, oh, Matt isn't credentialed at all, which means he's not educated, as if being educated and being credentialed were remotely the same thing. I mean, if we were talking about, crypto and finances and stuff like that, then I'm woefully uneducated. If you want to talk about the Bible and religion and philosophy and logical fallacies and, how to do a podcast, I'm well educated on those things, despite not having credentials. I appreciate you coming on and talk about this. We got some super chats to get to if Jimmy wants to cue this up. Normally we alternate.
That's not the right first one.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that one. Fuck that Jimmy Snow guy. Normally we alternate. I didn't know, since we've gone a full 90 minutes already, if you needed to leave or if you were going to stay for the super chats and read them with us. Cool.
I'm good. We'll
then
have fun.
You go first and I'll go second, and we'll try and alternate.
1999 from Greg Markowski. Is that the Monsters Inc? Markowski? Is that?
I don't know.
Mike Lebowski.
Mike Lebowski.
Okay.
Yes.
Not even close. Thanks. Getting to watch live this week. Thanks for the show. Glad I got to see Phil live. Woo! Wow, it was a great one. You know, Matt, no one ever did call and tell me I said everything wrong.
You said
It's all right.
everything wrong.
Yeah,
There you go.
thanks.
Jimmy's going to say it.
I've been finishing a wood project while you've been doing the show, so I don't actually know what you said. However,
Hey, now, I
it
don't
was
need to hear
wrong.
about your wood projects here.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say,
was-
a wood
He
project.
made
Is that what
sense.
we call that now?
I was
Is that a
lubricating
euphemism?
my wood. That's true.
Yeah, oiled up,
Hmm.
Well played.
varnished.
You know,
All right.
the other shows
Right
have started having me read them, but and yet I know that won't happen on this show.
You can read them
All
if
right,
you want.
Matt.
I'll leave.
I don't care.
$10 Canadian from Aaron, one of Canada's conservative leaders' nicknames. Conservative leaders' nicknames is Bitcoin Millhouse because he promoted Bitcoin just before a large drop in price and because he looks like the Simpsons character.
Oh, man, that's
Oh,
rough.
that's rough. I mean, I can imagine any number of people have made some really bad investments and bought into stuff. And I think one of the things with Bitcoin or crypto or NFTs or anything else is that people have this hope that they're going to get on the ground floor of something. There were a lot of people who, by
Yeah.
the way, when COVID started breeding ball pythons, and the market's done pretty well despite recessions and other things related to the pandemic. But now there's a bunch of people getting out of it right when I'm getting into it or back into it. Brad said he called in to correct everything you said. But all it does is it means that I now get to do stuff and buy stuff on the cheap because there's people who are getting out of it. There are good investments and bad investments, and it isn't always easy to see which ones did. I could lose everything tomorrow. I hope I don't. I don't think I will. But hey, I got those Magic the Gathering cards that at least get me dinner.
With crypto, is it as much getting in on the ground floor or getting on at the top of the pyramid?
Yeah.
I think it can be both or either. And like I said, the greater fool theory, it doesn't matter what you pay for any specific token, as long as you can sell it for more than you paid for it.
Yeah.
And I did look up Grimace Coin while we were talking. It
Or
originally
use
started
it.
at something like $8 a coin. There's a maximum supply of 1 million, so that's theoretical value is $8 million. But based on the recent transactions, its current market cap is $400,000. So it's gone from 8 million to 400,000. It's lost 95% of its value, and that
Wow.
400,000 is left. And of course, someone launched that and put out for sale 1 million tokens, and made something like $8 or less on each token. Where'd that money go? We don't know. It's not regulated. Just went poof.
Well, after the first of the year, anyway, let's go on. Let's do more super chats. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate it.
$10 from Diane Upshaw. Thanks for all the show. That is all. Well, there you go.
There we go.
That was easy. Yeah.
We do need way
Thanks,
more
Diane.
super chats, people. Otherwise, we have to sell the show to G-Man. So get your super
Oh my
chats in.
gosh. Yeah. We don't want to sell the show to G-Man. 999 from Let's Tell New Gamers to hit the chickens on Zelda. I don't know, but mapping a narrator for Psycho Stick's song would be the stuff of legends. If you don't know who Psycho Stick is, look them up. Comedy and metal is the perfect mix.
All right. You got a homework assignment, dude.
I think I
Hang on.
disagree that comedy and metal is the perfect mix because while I enjoy some metal, I have yet to understand what they're saying without looking up the lyrics.
Maybe that's the point.
Okay.
You're ruining it.
The best
Creates
jokes
a
are the ones
feeling.
you don't understand, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Like Emperor's New Clothes.
Why did a chicken cross the road?
If you just were a little smarter, you'd see the value of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I want to be that smart.
$10 from Larry Fiskman. Phil is obviously an intelligent person. Uh-oh. I haven't even read the last but I'm ready. Why did
There's a
he
but.
go into the parasitic financial industry instead of something beneficial to the human species? Okay. All right. I respect where you're going, Larry. It's funny because I got into the investment industry by accident. When I came back from my first year of college, my dad sat me down and wanted to show me how investments worked. And it was one of those things. He's like, if I get hit by the proverbial truck, I know that you can take care of your brothers and mom, his wife, my mom. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I grew up in junior high and high school knowing that my dad was a stock picking genius. I mean, he hit some big winners. And when we sat down, he started showing me stuff. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, what's this? And he goes, oh, that lost 98% of its value. I don't remember that story at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Because nobody tells those stories, right? It's the fisherman. It's the we remember the hits and forget the misses. And it turns out that he was underperforming the market by several points, which I've since learned is the norm for the average investor. And he had one investment that was doing really well, and this was back in mid '80s. It was the S&P 500 index fund from Vanguard. He was one of the very early investors in that, just by coincidence. And so it struck me with this idea: how does one make money? How does it work? The idea that I could make money from money versus physical labor sounded pretty fucking sexy, I'll have to admit.
Yeah.
And so, over the years, I just learned more and more and more. And then people would ask me questions. I'd answer their questions. And one day, something close to 25 years ago, one of my coworkers, when I worked in downtown Chicago, said, hey, Phil, you're helping me so much with this stuff. Can I just pay you instead of the broker I have? And I was like, no, I don't even know how that would work. Don't worry about it. Well, when I got to like the third or the fourth person that told me they wanted to hand me money, I thought, okay, well, I'll get a license. I'll go through the steps in the process. I studied for what's called the Series 7 broker's license and contacted the state of Illinois, where I lived at the time, and said that I'm ready to take this test. And they said, who's your sponsor? What do you mean sponsor? Well, you have to have a broker dealer sponsor you to become a broker. Who is your sponsor? I was like, wait a minute. The people in the industry control who can get into the industry? Wow. I did not know that. So I was like, no one's going to approve me because I'm not going to work for them. I just want to help my friends out. And they said, well, you could get a Series 65 license then, start a company, become a registered investment advisor. And I was like, oh, well, why doesn't everyone do that? Well, no one wants to do the Series 65 because if you get the Series 65, you also have to tell everybody, and you have to actually be a fiduciary, and you have to do what's in the best interest of the client. And I thought, well, isn't that what everybody does? So I started so naive and so ignorant. If I knew a fraction of what I know now, I probably would have never started my business. The mistakes that I've made, the ignorant things that I've done, the naive things that I've done, it's absolutely staggering. And now 25 years later, I'm still learning new stuff. And I'm hoping that the primary thing that I do with my podcast, The Phil Ferguson Show, is I think of myself as a bit of a consumer advocate, and that's kind of how I ended up on a specific topic of cryptocurrency, trying to stop people from screwing themselves and trying to stop, Matt, we talked about a little bit about these get-rich-quick schemes, and the phrase I talk about, have you ever met someone who's always trying to strike it rich? Did you notice? They're always trying.
Yep.
If it worked, they wouldn't have to try a second time or a fifth time or a 20th time. Almost all of those schemes blow up in your face. And what I do is I provide really boring, painfully slow investment advice. Save more money, wait more time, don't do anything stupid. If you follow some of the basic ideas that I lay out in my show, if you have enough time and you are willing to put forth enough money, you will be rich. It just may take a while. It's not quick.
It may take more than the lifetime that I have. It's part of the problem.
Well, it is very heartbreaking for me to get contacted by somebody, let's say they're 57, and they said, I had 4 kids and I paid all 4 of their college bills 100% of all 4 years. And now that my youngest kid has graduated from college, I'm 57, I'm ready to start saving for retirement. And I want to retire at the age of 62. And I'm like,
wow. I know what to say to that guy.
Yeah.
You need to go to those 4 kids and say, I paid for your college. It's time for you to fucking take care of me.
The other thing I tell people sometimes, just because of the other work that I do with atheism, is I tell them, what do you think of the power of prayer? That might be your only out at this point. I don't know. It's really tough if you spent your entire life. It's just like the well-known fact that something like 85% of all people that win $1 million or more on a state lottery file bankruptcy within 5 years. Because if you have no idea how money works or how to handle money, giving you a whole bunch of it, it's still going to disappear because you don't know what to do with it. Anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry, Matt.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Larry.
Can every super chat come with an insider stock tip?
Yeah. It's funny because I've only ever in 25 years, well, maybe like 15 years on doing podcasts and stuff, I've only twice ever told people to sell a stock. One was Netflix and one was Tesla. So my track record on not picking.
You could have told us that before we had you on the show.
Just kidding. Well, if you had been listening to my show 2 years ago, you would have heard it then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because
$10
both
from
of those companies. Go ahead.
$10 from Eddie Alive. Awesome show, guys. Thanks so much, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie.
Let me do this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
$10 from Mr. Monster. Have any of you guys heard of Hyperianism? And do you think their leader runs a cult? Some of the top members left are speaking out. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes, I think it's a cult. I think it's a particularly stupid one since it's anti-science and it's a bunch of quantum evolution, doublespeak, mumbo jumbo crap. I don't know the details of the actual cult stuff in there, and I didn't know that there were top members who left and are speaking out. But I'm only passingly interested in what they might say because this was as obvious a load of crap as Mormonism, and that took off. So
I've got a slightly different answer, Matt. I have no fucking idea, and I'm okay with that. Never heard of it. I'm okay with that.
No Hyperianism for me.
Only two more. I was just saying, only two more super chats, unless people get it in. And Lauren Boebert has expressed interest in buying the show, so get him in because I don't want to have to sell it to Lauren Boebert either.
I'll grab this one. $9.99 from Brian. Oh, I guess it's Brian Pooh, KC. Heard that Jimmy needs bagels. Here you go.
I told them to buy me bagels.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm glad
you told people that. See, that's one thing I don't normally do. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for all of you who are, contributing, and I need super chats. But I don't sit here and go, oh, I need bagels. See,
I need bagels.
I have a bagel. I have one. Matter of fact, now I'm going to go downstairs and eat the last bagel. Anyway, thanks, Brian Pooh.
I'm trying to run a company here, and the company needs more bagels.
Yeah,
that's true.
You need some fiat currency to go buy bagels.
Last one, unless you want to extend the show.
Yep. $10 Canadian from Keithman 3. Hi, Phil. Any tips, suggestions for a 20-year-old student looking into getting into investing? Index funds like S&P that you mentioned seemed interesting to me.
Yeah, if you learn only one thing from this entire 2-hour debacle, index funds, figure out what that is. But honestly, I do have a list of 4 books that if Matt will indulge me, I'm going to list them. So get out your paper, kids, rewatch the show. Matt gets more views that way, and he makes more money anyway. So rewatch the whole show. But the 4 books, 1, The Richest Man in Babylon, really old book. I like really old books because it's not a new fad. Richest Man in Babylon. I think you can even watch it for free. Someone read it on YouTube because it's really old, like 100 years old, kind of old. So it's free. The next one is called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. And then the third one is Winning the Loser's Game. And those 2 are both, I think, either from the late 60s or early 70s, although they're regularly updated. So you want to get a regular, and these stack on each other. So the first one is How Does One Invest Theoretically? The second one, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, will teach you a lot of the verbiage and the language. Winning the Loser's Game digs into index funds and why they work and why that's an important part of your portfolio or could be. And then the 4th book, Common Sense on Mutual Funds by John C. Bogle. And he actually did that intentionally with the title as an homage to Thomas Paine, Common Sense. So it's Common Sense on Mutual Funds. But if you have not read the other 3 books, reading that 4th book is probably not going to be a productive use of your time. You should treat it like a textbook. And if you spend a year or 2, or if you're 20, spend 2 or 3 years going through this stuff. You've got your whole life to invest. But reading those books will phenomenally help you understand how it all works.
All right, let me put a bow on this because I didn't see any other super chats come in.
No.
What's wrong with you guys? Didn't you listen to Jimmy when we said super chats? No.
We got to
right.
close down the factory, everybody.
We have to shut it all down. And that's too bad because tomorrow, Katie and Ben, we're going to do an episode of Transatlantic Call-In Show. On Monday, Forrest is going to do an episode of Skep Talk. Oh yeah, and Sunday, let's keep the shop open a little bit because on Sunday, Jimmy and I, along with some other guests, will be doing a Christmas marathon show from 3 to 9 p.m. We're planning on sitting here for 6 hours. You might see me play games. You might be able to put up your super chats then as like Christmas presents. You can call in and ask questions. We might do some fun stuff. You might be able to challenge me at something. I don't know, maybe a chess game. I don't think we're probably going to do Valorant on stream. What's that?
When is that again?
Christmas.
What's the
Sunday.
date and time?
Yeah.
Sunday?
Sunday at 3.
Sunday.
December
that's
26th,
Christmas?
the day after Christmas.
You might see me polish my wood.
Is Christmas on Sunday or Saturday?
Christmas is
I'm so
Saturday.
confused. Okay.
We're doing it the
Fair
day after Christmas. Or no, wait, Christmas is
Sunday.
Sunday. Sorry.
Yeah, we're doing
Christmas
Okay.
is Sunday. It's Christmas Day. It's the 25th. There we go.
Okay.
I got confused because I was supposed to be doing something on Saturday, and so now somebody's like, Matt, do magic? Sure, I can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we did this. Tomorrow, Transatlantic Call-In Show, Katie and Ben. That's going to be awesome. Get your calls in before Christmas so that you can be prepared. If you know that you're going to go hang out and visit your family and there's a bunch of transphobes in there, you should probably tune in tomorrow and call in and ask questions about what you can be armed with to better have conversations with your shitty family members who are, MAGA hat wearing. What's the definition of a woman? By the way, I have a new definition of a woman. Because somebody came on my Twitch stream today and said something absolutely awful about a trans person.
Awesome.
Just out of the blue, nothing. It's their obsession. And my new definition of woman is someone who would never do that, because it's always a fucking dude that comes in to brag about their transphobic crap. But we got Takis tomorrow with Katie and Ben. On Monday, tune in for Forrest on Skep Talk. But on Sunday, 6 hours, 3 to 9 p.m. Central, we're going to be on here doing all kinds of Christmassy stuff. And we'll even say, I'll say Merry Christmas. Somebody else might say Happy Holidays, but we're going to have fun and do some stuff. And we look forward to hanging out with all you. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We will see you. And if you can't be here this weekend, please have a safe weekend, holiday, however you're going to celebrate it. Thanks to Phil for coming by today and for my brother to calling in.
Yes.
I'll see you next
Great
time.
job. Thanks, Matt.
And that's that. But we'll see if I'm part of the Church of Crypto. Thank you for watching. I hope that's given people something to think about, and see you soon.